Yesterday, I did a poll on my YouTube channel asking what video would you guys rather see between Al Jefferson and Carlos Boozer, and it was pretty close, but I think Al Jefferson won by like 8 points, so that's why I'm doing this video. But the Carlos Boozer video will be coming soon. Right now, Al Jefferson, he had a season where he averaged 7 points and just 4 rebounds. And this was after coming off a season where he averaged 8 points, and he said he promised he'll be better, but he actually got worse. I mean, just in 2014, this was a guy that averaged as much as 21 points and 11 rebounds and led a Bobcat team to the postseason. I mean, they got swept, but that was a guy that was, he was one of the better big men in the NBA. And I was just thinking, what happened to Al Jefferson? He's only 33 and he just turned 33 this year. So what happened to his career? Well, Al Jefferson, he joined the NBA in 2004 with the Boston Celtics, and in fact, he was one of the last players to be drafted directly from high school. He was the #1 center in the nation and overall the #4 player amongst his peers. But in his first 2 seasons in Boston, as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid, he pretty much struggled, which is pretty normal because everybody can't be LeBron James directly from high school and start dominating. He only averaged about 7 points and 4 rebounds in his first 2 seasons, and we can mainly attribute that to his injuries to his ankles and his knees. Ultimately, he was just a little bit too heavy, and going into his 3rd and final season in Boston, he buckled down that summer and lost 30 pounds, and Doc Rivers, he noticed and he rewarded him by giving him way more minutes. Al Jefferson basically doubled his scoring and his rebounds and pretty much became a walking double-double in his final season in Boston, but although he was playing well to up his production, they weren't winning, so they had to make a move. He was involved in a blockbuster trade that involved Kevin Garnett, the 7-player 1-team trade with Minnesota and Boston, where basically Al Jefferson had to find a new home in Minnesota. Now, I don't know what it is with these guys in Minnesota, what they put in the food. Some reason, all the big men that go to Minnesota, they look very, very good. I was just talking about Kevin Love in Minnesota last night, where he was great in Minnesota, but he pretty much sucked in Cleveland. When Al Jefferson went to Minnesota, he turned into a new beast. I mean, in his first season, although he didn't make the All-Star team, which I just don't understand why. I guess they had a bunch of big men in, the West and all that stuff. He averaged 21 points, 11 boards, 50% shooting, and he actually played all 82 games. This man was just a classic throwback big man with the slow, fundamental moves. Al had the mean look. I mean, he was establishing himself as one of the best bigs in the NBA, and he was pretty much, he was still young because he got drafted out of high school, so Al Jefferson was doing the thing in Minnesota. But in his second season, his season would end dramatically after 50 games with a complete ACL tear in a game at New Orleans. And I know this video that I'm showing you guys is pretty much bad quality. It's off somebody's TV, but it was the only one I can find. But you guys get the picture. He basically got hurt trying to get a rebound. And he will come back for his 3rd and final season in Minnesota, but you could see the injury was still there, and his numbers did decline just a bit, but he was still productive. But going into the 2010 free agency, things seemed really, really bright for Al Jefferson. He got to team up with one of the better point guards in the NBA at the time, Darren Williams. And I don't know what the hell happened to him. I made a video if you guys didn't see. He would team up with Darren Williams, and that seemed like a pretty good duo. Al Jefferson and Darren Williams, I mean, it seemed like they had a bright future. And in his first season in Utah, I mean, he played very well. He had 82 games being played. He had 37 double-doubles. He basically showed full signs of recovery, but him and Darren Williams only played 1 year together because Darren Williams left to New Jersey, and he really didn't get his full potential in Utah because I think the duo between a big man and a point guard, it just ended too quickly to me. And if you just look at Al Jefferson's numbers, like if you strictly look at his numbers for the duration of his career, it would be very, very surprising why he never made an All-Star team. I mean, this dude's numbers to me, in my eyes, shows a perennial All-Star and almost a Hall of Famer, especially in basketball, because anybody gets in the Hall of Fame in basketball, it seems like, but he never made an All-Star team to my surprise, so that's that. Al Jefferson's stint in Utah would end with just 1 playoff appearance in 3 years, but with Al Jefferson's numbers and his consistency, he still headed into the 2013 free agency with a pretty impressive resume. He would end up signing a 3-year, $40 million contract in Charlotte, and he earned every single penny his first season there. He averaged 21 points, 11 boards. I mean, he contributed immensely to a playoff appearance from a pretty laughable Charlotte Bobcats team. I mean, if you guys look at that roster, there's probably not many guys you would know in that team unless you're a hardcore NBA fan, and they probably shouldn't have been in the playoffs, but Al Jefferson's performance kind of lifted them to the postseason. But sadly, when he got to the playoffs, he met against a Miami team, and this was the great Miami with LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh. He met them, he got swept, And in that series, he started to deal with injuries to his feet, an injury called plantar fasciitis, which is a common injury with the heel and his foot. And this is where his career pretty much took a dip for the worst. I mean, unfortunately, in his next 2 seasons in Charlotte, we can slowly start to see the decline of Al Jefferson. In his last season there, he only played about 47 games. He averaged 12 points. His production declined so much that he became a backup. Also, in that last season in Charlotte, he tore his meniscus in his right knee for the 3rd time in his career, and injuries were clearly deteriorating Al's career, and he just became so bad on defense. He was never a great player on defense, but he was terrible. I mean, look at how Memphis, they were just running a pick and roll, literally pick and roll whoever, with Al Jefferson, he would get stuck in the pick and roll, and he was just terrible. It was almost embarrassing. It was like basically playing with your grandma out there or something like that. He was that slow. So, like I said, at this point, teams would just pick on him like he was their grandmother out there, and he was just so slow he couldn't move. And unfortunately, his season ended in Charlotte. He signed with Indiana, where he quote-unquote wanted to be a vegan and extend his career and lose weight again like he did in his his first 2 seasons in Boston. But it just didn't work. He was too slow, and the game, to me, it just moved past him. Because if I just be direct, here's a synopsis of what happened to Al Jefferson's career, really. Yeah, it was injuries and all that, but also it was the fact that he's a slow, half-court based player in a new, fast-paced, small ball league. Al Jefferson, he only made 8 3-pointers in his entire career. Joel Embiid made 66 this year in only 63 games. So that shows that he just completely outdated. You have to be able to shoot nowadays regardless of your position. I mean, big men, they're hitting threes nowadays, and he just couldn't adjust. I mean, as the game changed and it became more fast-paced, his body endured more labor, and it just couldn't adapt, and ultimately it ruined his career. I think players like Hassan Whiteside, Roy Hibbert, and all these slower paced, that kind of player, it's just being ran out the game, because if you can't hit threes and you can't adapt, your game will be hindered, and I think it can end your career. So that's pretty much what happened to his career. Yeah, he's not an old man. He's only 33. He just turned 33 this January, so he's not too old, but that, I think the game, as it changed and became more fast-paced, you have to be able to hit threes. I think the game kind of moved past Tim Duncan, because I remember his last year, yeah, he was old, but OKC, they ran his ass out the gym. They were just running, flying up the court, and Tim Duncan just looked so old. I felt kind of sorry for him, but that's kind of what happened to Al Jefferson. That throwback style of ball, it's kind of outdated right now. Yeah, you can still have it and play low post, but you got to be able to step out and hit a three from time to time too. That's just how it is. If you guys like the video, make sure you guys like the video. I will be dropping a Carlos Boozer video. I got a lot of what happened videos coming soon, so make sure you guys check it out. Friday, I got a dope video coming. It's not the Carlos Boozer video, but I think you guys would enjoy, so make sure you guys turn on your post notifications for that. Follow all of my social media sites, subscribe if you haven't already. Do all that great stuff, guys. Until next time, guys, stay tuned.
All of these flows mine.